Merkin didn't sleep that night. Zara's voice replayed in her mind, calm and precise, the kind of voice that never needed to shout because it assumed obedience. Merkin lay on her side, staring at the faint outline of the curtains, listening to Aitz's breathing beside her slow, controlled, as if even sleep required discipline. She realized then that waiting was no longer neutral. Waiting was exactly what Zara expected. By morning, Merkin had already made her decision. She moved quietly through the house, gathering small things, papers, her phone, the notebook she had started keeping without realizing why. When Aitz finally appeared in the doorway, hair still damp from the shower, he stopped short when he saw her expression. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I'm going out," Merkin replied. "There's something I need to handle." His eyes narrowed instantly. "Handle what?" She met his gaze without hesitation. "Zara." The name landed like a spark. "No," Aitz said sharply. "Absolutely not." Merkin took a breath. "She called me last night." That stopped him. "She thinks she can scare me," Merkin continued. "She thinks I'll leave if she presses hard enough." "I won't, but pretending she doesn't exist won't make her stop either." Aitz stepped closer, his voice low. "You don't understand how she works. She doesn't confront, she traps." "I know," Merkin said. "That's why I'm going to meet her where she expects control, not chaos." His jaw clenched. "You think this is strength?" Walking straight into her territory. "I think this is honesty," Merkin replied. "And she doesn't know what to do with that." Silence stretched between them, taut and dangerous. Finally, Aitz spoke again, slower now. "If you do this, you don't do it alone." She shook her head. "If you come, she wins." "She wants to provoke you. I won't give her that." Aitz looked away, anger flashing across his face, not at her, but at himself. "I hate this," he muttered. "So do I," Merkin said softly, "but I won't let her decide our lives." She reached for his hand this time, not hesitating. "I'm not trying to save you," she added. "I'm choosing us." That was what broke his resistance. Aitz exhaled slowly, then nodded once. "Call me the moment she says anything that doesn't feel right." "I will." Hours later, Merkin sat across from Zara in a quiet cafe, sunlight pouring in through the windows as if nothing dangerous had ever happened there. Zara smiled first. "I was wondering how long it would take you." "I didn't come to negotiate," Merkin said calmly, "or to ask for permission." Zara tilted her head. "Then why are you here?" "To tell you something clearly," Merkin replied. "Whatever you think you know about Aitz, whatever leverage you believe you have, you don't get to use me as part of it." Zara's smile thinned. "You're very brave." "No," Merkin said. "I'm done being afraid." For the first time, Zara's gaze sharpened, not amused, not indulgent, measuring. "You think love makes you untouchable," Zara said quietly. "No," Merkin answered. "I think it makes me visible. And that's something you don't control." Zara leaned back slowly. "You'll regret this." Merkin stood. "Maybe, but it won't be because of you." As Merkin walked out of the cafe, her phone vibrated. "Aitz, did she threaten you?" Merkin typed back. "She tried. It didn't work." Across the city, Aitz read the message, something unfamiliar settling in his chest. Not fear, respect. And for the first time since Zara had entered their lives, he understood something dangerous and undeniable. The woman standing beside him was no longer something Zara could move around. She was something Zara had to confront. Zara did not react immediately. That, more than the threat itself, told Merkin she had struck something real. Zara remained seated at the cafe table long after Merkin had left, fingers resting lightly against the porcelain cup, eyes fixed on the space Merkin had occupied moments earlier. People passed by the window, laughing, living unaware that a line had just been crossed. Not by Merkin, by Zara herself. She reached for her phone. "Aitz," she said calmly when the call connected. "Your wife is very brave." Aitz closed his eyes for a brief moment before answering. "If you're calling to intimidate her, you're too late." Zara smiled faintly. "I'm calling to remind you who you are." That's the problem. Eitz replied, you never knew. Silence followed tight, controlled. You think this ends because she spoke up. Zara said, men like you don't change. You retreat, you isolate, and eventually you destroy whatever stands too close. Eitz's voice remained steady. That used to be true. Used to, Zara echoed. You don't erase a lifetime of damage with a single woman. No, Eitz agreed, but you do learn where the damage came from. That gave her pause. For years, Eitz continued, I believed silence was safety. That control meant survival. You understood that and you used it. Zara's tone hardened. I gave you structure. You gave me fear, he replied, and I mistook it for stability. Across the city, Merkin stood in the quiet of the house, phone clutched tightly in her hand. She could hear Eitz breathing on the other end of the line, slow, deliberate, not cornered. Chosen. You don't get to decide what breaks me anymore, Eitz said. And you don't get to test her strength to prove your power. Zara exhaled softly. You're making a mistake. Eitz paused. When he spoke again, there was no anger in his voice, only clarity. No, I'm ending one. He ended the call. For a long moment, the world felt unnaturally still. Then Merkin's phone vibrated. I'm coming home. She exhaled shakily, realizing only then how tightly she had been holding herself together. When Eitz arrived, he didn't speak right away. He stood in the doorway, looking at Merkin as if seeing her for the first time, not as someone asking him to heal, not as someone knocking on walls, but as someone who had stood her ground without needing him to save her. I didn't run, she said quietly, unsure why she felt the need to explain. I know, Eitz replied. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. For the first time, he didn't lean against it. I spent my whole life protecting a place inside me, he said slowly, calling it safety, calling it limbo. Merkin listened without interrupting. But limbo is still a cage, he continued, and today, I realized something. He met her eyes. I don't want to survive alone anymore. Merkin felt tears rise, but she didn't look away. I don't need you to fix me, Eitz added. And I won't promise that I won't struggle. But I won't disappear, not when things get hard. Not when fear tells me to. She nodded, voice unsteady. That's all I ever wanted. Eitz reached for her hand fully this time, without hesitation. Outside, somewhere far away, Zara was already planning her next move. But something fundamental had shifted. Control no longer lived in silence. Fear no longer had the final word. And limbo, once Eitz's refuge, had finally begun to collapse. Not because someone forced him out, but because he chose to leave.